today with a this morning and early this afternoon. A high of 24 degrees, feeling like 31 with that humidex. Cloudy tonight, it will drop to a low of 16 degrees overnight. Then tomorrow, mainly cloudy and a high of 24. For Peterborough and the Kawarthas today, cloudy with a chance of showers this morning, a high of 23, feeling like 27 with the humidity. Cloudy tonight, a low of 10 degrees overnight, and then tomorrow, sky clearing in the morning and a high of 23.
Every artist has an origin story, why they are driven to do what they do. The origin story you're going to hear today is like something out of a movie. It belongs to Karan Aujla, who is a huge global superstar, massive Punjabi rapper. I don't want to give away too much. I'll just tell you that he lost both of his parents while he was super young in India. The way he survived that, what he went on to do when he immigrated to Canada, it's nothing short of remarkable. Karan Aujla is coming up. Plus, you might have first heard the name Mateo Roach when they went on their 23-game winning streak on Jeopardy a few years ago. It's just been announced that they're the new host of a major CBC show. The show's called Bookends. Mateo will be here to tell you about it, and just in case you ever end up on the show, we'll give you the correct strategy for wagering on a daily double. I'm Tom Power. Welcome to Q. Before we get going with the rest of today's show, I just want to say how nice it is to be back after a few big weeks off, a nice little summer holiday, which I was fortunate to get. Spend the whole thing in Newfoundland and Labrador. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before. That's where I'm from. So I got to spend a little bit of time at home with the family. I want to thank Talia Schlanger, and I want to thank Vivek Shreya and Ali Hassan for sitting in while I was away. Okay, so I don't know if you were watching the Junos this past year, but there was this very memorable moment. I'll paint a picture for you. Like a giant arena, downtown Halifax. Place is rammed, both with fans drinking moose heads, and sort of like the who's who of the Canadian music industry, also drinking moose heads. Nelly Furtado is hosting. I didn't see one in her hand. You got Tegan and Sarah and Maestro Fresh West up front. The time comes to name the Fan Choice Award, the only award voted on by fans of Canadian music. When the artist's name is called, well, everyone just went crazy. Karan
You know, sometimes I just can't believe I'm that same kid that lost his parents when he was in India. You know, made my way out to Canada, this beautiful country. And today I'm here, man. Let's go!
Karan Aujla is one of the most, if not the most popular Punjabi rapper in the world right now. In that moment, though, it felt like Canada was finally waking up to it. Despite the massive popularity of Punjabi rap and hip hop in North America right now, Karan is the first Punjabi artist to win an award at the Junos. So there's actually a new short film about him on Apple, and a special edition of his new EP, For Me, is out now. Just take a listen to this if you're not familiar. Punjabi rap becoming one of the biggest genres in the world right now, and Karan Aujla is sort of at the top of it. That's his song For Me, and he's sort of at the top of the world right now. This is 10 years after he moved to Canada from India after a tremendous tragedy. 10 years after he started over fresh. 10 years after he rebuilt his life from scratch. You don't hear a story like his every day. He also doesn't do a lot of interviews, so I was very happy that he sat down with us to tell his story. Here's my conversation with Karan Aujla. Welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, I'm okay. I'm doing great. How are you?
No one ever asked me how I'm doing, so I appreciate it.
Nah.
I want to talk a little bit about the thing you said in your acceptance speech. You said, sometimes I just can't believe I'm that same kid that lost his parents in India and made his way out to Canada. I want to talk about that kid growing up in India as much as you're comfortable. To tell me more about him. What were you like as a kid?
I mean, I was like any other kid, right? But then all of a sudden, I just got hit with this tragedy. Like, you know, I lost my dad in 2006, and then I lost my mom in 2011, and just saw them going through so much at such an early age. Like I was like 9 years old, or and then 11 years old, and then I was just by myself, like basically stuck in India at my house. Like there was family that was taking care of me, but you know, my sisters were out here in Canada because you know they got married and all that, or whatever. And then my mom and dad passed away. We were supposed to come out here together and you know like make a living or do whatever, you know. But the plans generally go like it didn't away, and now I had to like sort out my documentation and just stay in India by myself. And that was a big responsibility. I feel like it just opened my eyes too early. Like I sometimes I feel like I don't know why that happened so early, but sometimes it's just like maybe like it was meant to happen. I guess like it taught me so much too. Like I was the kid that used to like iron his own uniform to go to school. Like every morning, get up in the morning, iron my uniform, put it on, dress myself up, and eat and go to school in India. So that just really taught me a lot how to be more responsible, more independent. And yeah, man, there's just so many stories when I was a kid. I mean, I didn't even know sometimes what to talk about because there's just so much that was happening. Yeah,
The thing that just sticks out to me that you said, man, is you said like it really opened my eyes, and and it feels like it might have been too early to do that.
yeah,
I lost my a parent when I was younger, not as young as you, but I lost a parent when I was younger, and I've often told people that like that is life kind of begins again.
yeah,
You sort of see life differently after that, in a good way and in a bad way.
exactly. Yeah,
But to be nine,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean that was really hard, man. Like I couldn't process my emotions. I didn't know what anxiety was. Like at that age, especially being in India, like there's not like we weren't really educated enough to know about like emotions or stress or anxiety or trauma or any of this stuff. Like now when I got educated and I look back at that kid, I'm like, okay, how was he doing this? Just going through it. Or even when I think about my parents, like they didn't know what like being stressed was, but they were going through it. I just feel, bad sometimes. Like I wish they were here today so I could just show them the real world and make them understand like what living is actually. Just show them some easy time for a little bit. But I guess that will never happen.
was there music in the house? Were you musical as a kid? Are there early signs of you as a kid being a musician?
You know what? Nothing at all. Like that just surprises me. Nobody in my family was ever into music. So like it was just me, like my dad who used to write us letters and all that. Like we had phones back then, but he had a habit of writing. But he wouldn't like write songs or anything. But he just when he would be away, like he just write us letters. So I guess sometimes I think about it too. I guess that's where it came from. But I just started writing it. But most of it basically came from I guess the pain and the things I was going through. Like I didn't know I wanted to. I just didn't know how to talk to somebody about my feelings. So I just started putting them down on paper.
You were going through this tremendous too young tragedy,
Yeah,
and you feel like you can't talk to anyone about it. Like you can't share how sad you are or how messed up this is or how you're feeling.
yeah, I didn't know how. Like I had some cousins. Like I didn't know what to talk to them about. Like do I tell them like I miss them or like what was it? It was just such a shock. I
Yeah.
didn't know. And especially being back in India, it's different, right? Like you don't really like talk about your feelings to people. Like now they do, but back then, honestly, like, there was nothing like that. Like I was never taught to do that or whatever. I just couldn't do it, and I just started putting it out on paper. I still remember my first song was like a sad song, like I'm tired of my life, this and that. I was writing that in Punjabi, so that was my first time like writing basically on a paper and writing about how I felt and like I just basically don't have no reason to live. That was the main hook line of the that was the chorus of that track. I still remember it, and that's when I realized, okay, maybe that's why I did that because I didn't know how to talk to anybody. And then I slowly started realizing, like, okay, maybe I could just turn this to a hobby and then profession. And it took some time, but it happened over the time. Sure.
Was that in Canada or was that in India you wrote that?
No, I started writing back in India,
Yeah.
and then I started like giving my like I think I was like 14 and a half years old or 14 somewhere around there where the first time I actually wrote something on a paper. And then by 15 and a half, 16, I gave one of my songs away to one of the local singers in Punjab.
Yeah.
Like he's big too even today. His name is Jesse Gill. Big shout out to him. Like he sang my first ever song, right? And that song released when I came to Canada. So it took over 2 years to get that out, but that kind of gave me recognition around my village and all that.
it up,